All right. So these guys decide to have a debate on the fraud squad, which is just like the squad. AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Jamal Bowman, all the guys, the guys actually like doing work and trying to make some good progressive change in the highly divided and highly a place that's highly antagonistic to progressive thought and progressive policy. So with that being said, obviously Dinkle takes the position that the squad are evil and dumb and are cringe, and Seder obviously doesn't think that. Yeah, like Ilhan Omar and hello. Also, I forgot I turned off streamer mode. I need to turn back on.
This meme is very real.
Streamer mode. There we go. Sorry. I had to shut off streamer mode to make sure that my Discord didn't get raided by Nazis. So yeah, obviously Seder has like a big brain and he realized that this is dumb as. So I want to see it. Obviously, Dinkle with a smug face. He's ready. He's ready to destroy. The thing is, I kind of wish that Sam didn't do this on some level. Specifically because the only reason why he does this, Dinkle is just like conservatives. They don't care about like winning a debate. They just like showing up for the free clout. That's literally all he does. That's the reason why Dinkle was trying to like spamming Destiny for a talk. Honestly, he would probably when the channel gets bigger, he'll probably try and do the same thing to me. Their opinions really don't matter. What they're looking for is more money. Oh, he didn't even put his name in the title. Sam debates electoral politics with a Jimmy Dore fan. Didn't even put his name. Oh no, he's been reduced to Jimmy Dore fan. It's an hour and a half. I thought it was like only. Oh, okay, yeah. Sam goes to talk about it for a little while. Okay, I was about to say. I'm like, I'm surprised. It's an hour and a half. Dude, what is this? Wait, what is this? Yo, are you okay? Look, how is he tweeting so much?
Those. Wait. About 2 weeks ago, I think it was, I got IM'd. We take IMs every day, as you know. I got IM'd that a guy named Jackson Hinkle wanted to debate me. And so we have a fairly open door policy here. People can call in at any time. I suggested that he could call in, or if he wanted to debate me, he could email at majorityreporters@gmail.com or tweet at me. And within an hour after the show was over, that segment was clipped, I think by Jackson, and he wanted to, and he said to debate. And so we set it up. And since that time, Bradley, put up that thing that you just gave me. Over that time, he has been very excited to debate. Those are, I think, from Twitter over the past week. Yes, oh, please bring them on.
Week. 1, 2. It's been 1 week and he's tweeted 8 times about it. My goodness. Yeah, he's really trying to push this one.
So I want to welcome to the program.
You need that clout.
Jackson Hinkle, do we have him?
That's cute.
Yeah, give me 1 second here. Let me start my camera.
Okay, and so Jackson, thank you for coming on today. I should say also, you were very gracious because can I get him up here get him up on the screen? Do we have him? I've got a weird thing on my stand. Oh, there.
All right, very excited. Let's skip forward a tiny bit so we can.
I mean, Ilhan Omar, for example, was she supposedly challenged the Democratic establishment, replaced them with people who align with, whatever the squad is, the Justice Democrats were supposed to be. So yes, I mean, that is the goal here. And it would make sense that the Democratic establishment should be trying to go as hard as they can against them at every single chance they get. And they haven't done that. They've given them preferential treatment to what you would expect from a group of individuals who are supposed to be unseating them.
So you're saying that the Biden administration actually conceded on all of those things as opposed to, I mean, I don't know what you mean by roasting.
I don't think they conceded. And I don't want to focus too long on this because this isn't the crux of the argument. The crux of the argument, what I emailed.
Like, oh my gosh. Like Sam won't let me gish gallop and then like change subjects. No, he's not going to let you like dump. This doesn't work where you get to dump a lot of points and then pretend like we need to move on to something else. Like they're not allowed to respond. This is just so weird. It's actually really slimy. It's a slimy tactic. Some people get away with it. I don't think Sam's going to let him get away with it, but it's pretty gross. I see it sometimes where you just try to, you're like, oh, this isn't important because you're going to lose on this point. And so you want your like premise not to be challenged. So you just go, well, actually, like the really important thing is, well, if that was really important, you shouldn't have started to talk about this, but instead you wanted to. So unfortunate. So they get to respond now. Unfortunate how that works, right? Oh, also, what's his name? Lacey Clay, the guy who used to be in what's his name? Cori Bush. Okay, the main thing that like blows this out of the water, okay, it's Cori Bush. Cori Bush is the living embodiment that makes Jackson Hinkle even more stupid than he actually is. Cori Bush ran against Lacey Clay, lost, all right, in 2018. And then what happened is that Lacey Clay started to pivot to be way more progressive. I think he signed on to the Green New Deal, if I remember that correctly, and also was posturing that he was for like raising the minimum wage to like 15 and also other stuff. Like he did that specifically because he was being challenged from his left and by Cori Bush, and that was them being more preferential, I guess, if that's how we're going to pretend we use this word, towards the progressives, and he got booted. So I don't know. It's like they do both.
Emailed you was about your support for the squad when I think that they are not progressive. Okay, but yes, the Biden administration.
But listen. We're just going back and forth here. All right, you've made your assessment that they're getting preferential treatment because they're not being roasted by the establishment, and then you're saying that they're getting money from George Soros.
Yes.
In the form of giving it to the Sunrise Movement.
No, Ilhan Omar received direct contributions.
How much from George Soros?
She received. Let me pull it up here. She received.
Why does he have that?
George Soros, Andrea Soros, and Alex Soros. She received $2,700, $5,600 in 2020, and then in 2018, $2,700 respectively.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait, I want to hear that.
And then in 2018, $2,700, $5,600. Andrea Soros and Alex Soros. She received $2,700, $5,600 in 2020, and then in 2018, $2,700 respectively.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. I didn't realize she'd received $2,700 in multiple years.
Oh my gosh, what's that like in total? What is that like? $8,000? Ooh, baby. Oh my God. $8,000 in 2 years. Whoo, holy shit. My good man, she's rolling in it. She's rolling in it. That Soros money.
And so you're contending that they sold out for over $2,700 from George Soros.
No, if you listen to anything I just said, I named numerous examples in which the squad has been given preferential treatment, and to just select that one in particular is very disingenuous.
No, when you said Soros, I was just asking in terms of the Soros part. You said Soros was number 4, I think.
I mean, there's more I could go on to list, but again, what I want to talk about here, and what you seem to not want to talk about, and I can assume why, is your continued.
He's such a fucking loser. Like, wait, he's. We need to stop talking to this person. We need to stop. We need to like put on like bulletin boards. Do not speak to this person. He's so smug and so stupid at the same time. It's bad. That's a bad combo. When you're smug and incredibly stupid, that's a bad combo.
Support for the squad, who is going along with the Democratic establishment on all these votes they could be blocking to get concessions in return. And in some cases, they're actually directly supporting anti-progressive measures and bills. Okay.
And I there's no doubt that they have taken votes that I agree that I would disagree with in some instances.
A few or a lot? I mean,
a few.
How many is a few? I'm just curious.
I don't have a list of how many votes I don't appreciate that they've taken.
Well, I mean, don't you think there's I just want to nail you down on this, because don't you think there's a difference between like.
I want to nail you down on this very important point. Do you disagree with a few or a couple or even a bunch? How about some? Maybe even a bit? Huh? Mr. Seder, let me nail you down on this. The fuck are you talking about? A few or a lot? A plethora even? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Say a few is 2 to 3. Don't you think there's a difference between 2 to 3 bad votes and say like 15 or 20 bad votes?
How many votes did they take in total? And I'll tell you that I would imagine there's probably 25 to 30% of their votes that I would have a problem with off the top of my head.
I would imagine for consequential policy items, there was probably roughly like 60 to 100 consequential policy items that were voted on in this session of Congress 2021 so far. There's obviously a lot of procedural and House rules votes that get voted on every single session of Congress. So far, there's been over 400 votes in this session of Congress, but a lot of those, again, are just on amendments to bills that are eventually voted on or just procedural votes.
Okay.
So you're saying that maybe 20 to 30 out of 60 are bad votes?
30%. I don't know. I mean,
well, you just said 20 to 30 votes out of potentially 60 to 100 were bad. So is that something that you would necessarily support? I mean, I just don't really understand. Why don't you criticize the squad on all of these things? I've heard you.
What is he okay? He's just like, what is this debate style? Are you all right? He's like debating himself here. It's so weird. Yeah, he doesn't understand the idea of a percent. 25 to 30%. Jackson will continue not to listen. Oh, of course. I don't think he's not here to listen. He's here to try and get a bunch of clout. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, 25 to 30% is perfectly fine. You're not listening to me. Proceeds not to listen to a word that this man says. Beautiful. Oh, it's amazing. True. Dinkle does look like the type of kid to have a nest. Let me tell you. But yeah, like it's just like he's jumping around to a bunch of places. He's like incredibly messy in his head. He has a bunch of things like going on. And it's just weird. Like none of these points really matter. A couple, a bunch, some, a few. Like this doesn't. Those aren't like real. Those aren't words that you need to hammer someone down on. That's completely inconsequential to the conversation.
Criticize them like once and every so often, but you don't criticize them on all of these bad votes. And I don't understand how you plan to hold them accountable if you're not criticizing them.
Well, I do.
I've seen him
criticize them
on
every one of our shows.
Did you criticize them? Did you criticize them when AOC funneled $160,000 to DCCC corporate Democrats after promising not to?
Actually, first of all, I actually didn't criticize that.
Why not?
I'll tell you why. Because I think part of the strategy in which they deployed, and she said we should say that she did these in incremental ones, right? There was like 2,000 a pop, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They were 5,000.
Okay, 5,000. I think there's value in doing that because I think that what politicians should do, broadly speaking, is go in and try and get legislation that is positive passed. And so if
what positive legislation have they gotten passed by donating to those DCCC candidates?
Well, the Build Back Better bill passed in the House.
Did it pass in the Senate?
No, but she didn't give to senators.
So what legislation has the squad voted for?
What? So they're doing a lot of work in the House, but they're not in the Senate. They're not senators. Well, okay. What have they done to actually get passed? Well, they can do one thing. All right, they can pass in their chamber. That's what a member of the House and Senate can do. They can pass in their chamber. They can't pass someone in someone else's chamber. They can't do that. They're not in that chamber. That's actually literally the entire point of the different chambers. But okay.
And it's also passed in the Senate that you think is good and directly resulted in donating.
Flower guy, thanks so much for the.
Don't you also think? Wait, Sam. Don't you also think that given that AOC specifically said that she was not going to donate to them?
What the fuck? They gotta stop this guy. They gotta get the mute button. This is the type of guy who definitely needs a mute button because he's asked like 3 questions now. Just so you know, before he answered, this is his second or third question that he's asking Sam.
The problem that she then went out and donated to them, and this is before
that. I think people can take issue with that.
And this is before there's even a Democratic primary. So there was going to be progressive challengers like Ava Patsova in Arizona's first district.
I think people could take issue with that.
So why did you not?
We did talk about it.
You just told me you didn't talk about it a minute ago.
No.
Yes, you did.
I didn't spend as much time emphasizing it apparently as you want me to, but I've just...
you just told me a minute ago you didn't talk about it. What do you think about the fact that they voted to subsidize Cobra premiums for 6 months?
I, in fact, talked about it with AOC, and I said that was garbage, and she said it was garbage.
So you talked about it before she did it or after she did it?
After she did it, she came on the show, and I literally said that was a garbage vote, and she said, yes, it's garbage.
So did you press her as to why? I'm just curious.
Yes, you should go back and watch.
Don't you think that's a pretty important conversation? If you have a problem with Sam and his treatment of the squad, don't you think that him literally interviewing the squad is like an important thing to watch before you go into a debate? Why didn't you do this thing that I didn't care about watching you do? I did do it. Well, what about the other thing? I did that as well. What? Sam proceeds to ask 12 different questions and trying to talk over Sam. Nice one. Oh no, he's not here to debate. Like Dinkle doesn't go to these places to debate.
Watch it.
What about when she voted to sanction Myanmar, Cambodia, and supported sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, a handful of other countries? She voted to sanction in basically the entire global South.
Yeah, I'm against sanctioning in the case of Venezuela.
Okay. What about when she refused to speak out against Biden's airstrikes in Syria?
What is this? What's his attempt here? He was like, so how many votes do you disagree with? A few. Well, is it a few or a lot? I don't know. What about these votes? Do you disagree? Yeah. What about these? No. Like, what's this what is this conversation? He's just like listing off votes and now asking if is this what the conversation is going to be? Dinkle lists off votes and then asks Sam if he agrees or disagrees with them.
Afghanistan, Somalia, or Iraq, many of which killed civilians.
I don't remember if I said anything about AOC not.
You didn't. I was watching your show at the time. I actually watch a lot of your show, but usually to criticize you. What about when she voted to increase the Capitol Police and Security budget to $1.9 billion increase?
Issue with her specifically, but I said that vote was wrong.
So okay, Sam, there's one more thing I want to say here, because this kind of ties the whole argument together. There's a difference between saying that this vote is wrong and saying that not only is this vote wrong, but they could have leveraged the power that they had on these votes, because in the case of the Capitol Police and Security bill, they could have actually blocked the passage of that bill to get concessions in return. So why are you not saying that? Because you've actually gone out on the record previously, and you have said,
Jackson, let's have a debate here, okay? You're listing off every single time I haven't criticized AOC over the past.
Well, the question is why?
Childish. Well, I've made it quite clear. I don't care.
You don't care about what?
Let me ask you this.
You don't care about what? No. What don't you care about? What don't you care about?
Increase in the Capitol Police? I don't think it's that relevant.
Why don't you think it's relevant? There was a leak yesterday from Capitol Police that shows that Capitol Police has intelligence units across the country that are creating dossiers on Congress people and their staffers. You don't care about that?
Isn't that good? They're Capitol Police. Don't you think that they should be keeping track of like Congress people and their staff members? People who work on the Capitol? Sam, you do not understand. It just came out that the Capitol Police keep track of people who work on the Capitol. Evil. Evil, Sam. Truly, the degradation of our country is beginning now. Okay. I think it would be actually pretty wise for the Capitol Police to keep track of people who are on the Capitol. You know, who work on the Capitol. Who work with the people on the Capitol. You know, they're probably going to be on the Capitol at some point in time. You may want to know something a little bit about them. Maybe even to help protect them. You know where their offices are. Know what times they're in their offices. You know, what if something happens? They don't want to waste time helping someone that doesn't need help. You know, isn't that? Yeah, especially Bober definitely needs to be tracked. That woman's insane.
I think that's a problem. That came out yesterday.
Yes.
The increase in the Capitol Police after they were overrun. You know what? I just don't think it's that big of a deal. What I think is a much bigger deal in my mind was the opportunity to raise millions of children out of poverty, which they're not going to be able to do, but because, like you say,
because they let it lapse.
No, they didn't let it lapse.
The child tax credit, they let that lapse, and they could have potentially blocked that from lapsing had they leveraged their votes. Had they leveraged their votes.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a number of votes. Do you understand the idea? Do you understand the idea of force the vote? Sam, do you understand the idea of force the vote?
What the fuck is he's jumping around? So like, talk about one thing, buddy. You can't talk about 12 different things and then ask these weird questions. What's happening? Stick on one thing. Did he not take his medicine? I'm going to be his teacher. Okay. I'm going to be his like 7th grade teacher. I'm going to pull him to the side and ask him if he took his ADHD medicine this morning. Okay. Because it feels like the answer is no. It feels like he is incapable of having a single train of thought without jumping around.
No, I don't. But let's just stay.
What do you mean you don't understand the idea of force the vote?
I'm Jackson. Do you think AOC is better than Joe Manchin?
You don't understand the idea of force the vote?
Do you think AOC is better than Joe Manchin? Let's stay with your original thing that you wanted to debate. Then we can get.
Is that what I wanted to debate? Did I email you about that?
Would love to focus the discussion around your support for the squad. I personally believe the squad and progressives in Congress are sellouts who have abandoned virtually every aspect of progressive principles over the last couple of years.
So where in that did I say that AOC is worse than Joe Manchin? I'm just curious.
I'm asking you, I'm trying to explore if they have sold out every aspect of progressive principles, and if you think Joe Manchin and AOC are essentially the same.
Again, I did not say that. You're
I didn't
creating.
say you said that.
He's so stupid. Oh my gosh, he's a baby. He has baby brain. Wait, you guys are right. His frontal cortex has not fully developed. He actually is he may even be mentally incapable of having this discussion with Sam. He may actually literally not be able to do it. Oh my gosh.
That's why I'm asking you.
You're creating a fake argument. Of course, no, I don't think AOC is the same.
I'm asking you a question.
Well, no, you said that I said that, and that's what I initially came to debate. That's not true. But no, of course, I don't think, of course, Sam. Of course, I don't think that AOC is the same as Joe Manchin. Like, you think I'm insane or something? Of course, I don't think they're the same.
Yes, I do think you're insane. But yeah. It's just fake argument. You're inventing it. You by asking me a question, you're inventing fake argument. Terminal debate bro brain. Yeah, since every single person who talks about politics is a clone of Destiny, this is a clone of Destiny that went wrong. All right, this one went wrong. Crawled out of the vat a little too early. Wasn't fully developed. Okay, as you can see, I mean, even his hairline wasn't fully developed when he was done. You know, he wasn't done yet. He needs some extra cooking time. So like they put all of the debate memes in his head, but they didn't finish tying all the ropes together to make it actually work. So he's just throwing shit around. It's not good. It's like rattling around. You know, nothing's tied down. It's not good. It's all kept together like a project from Codename Kids Next Door with chewed gum and duct tape.
Questions. So
I have some questions about you too.
AOC is a better legislator, is more progressive than Joe Manchin?
I think she's a terrible legislator because she's allowed roughly 18 must-pass or near must-pass votes go through without blocking them in instances in which she could have actually blocked the agenda from going through.
Okay. Do you think AOC is more progressive than Joe Manchin?
That's not what I came here to debate, but of course, yes, I do.
Why I support.
That's not what I came here to debate, but of course I do, yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I support the squad is because I think she's better than people like Joe Manchin. The squad.
So my problem with that.
Omar and Rashida Tlaib and are better than Josh Gottheimer.
So you're basically saying, well, AOC is better than the lowest bar we have in the Democratic Party, so that's why I support her.
Well, that's a pretty good thing. If we raise the bar, then the bar has been raised. Honestly, I think if AOC was the bar, like the bottom bar of the Democratic caucus, that'd be pretty fucking sick. If AOC was the furthest right-wing like person in the House, that'd be pretty sick. I think that'd be pretty great. You know? I think that's pretty pog, actually. Pretty nice. Yeah, AOC would make it an amazing bar, personally. Now, obviously, she's not perfect. They have problems. But no politician is perfect. It's kind of hard to make every correct decision as a politician. You just can't do it. It's literally impossible. But I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I mean, this is kind of stupid.
By that logic, do you support Nancy Pelosi because Nancy Pelosi is better than Joe Manchin?
I support her. I support her over people to her right.
You know what? I don't support Nancy Pelosi because
really? But she's better than Joe Manchin, so why don't you support her?
Because she's not the best that we have in the Congress.
Okay, so let's take a look at the best we have in the Congress. The best we have in the Congress, according to your logic, the best we have in the Congress right now is the squad, right? And the most progressive, I'm putting that in quotes, members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
Yes, exactly.
So given the fact.
Yeah, Pelosi is pretty bad, but if there was someone to her right that was even worse, I would support Pelosi over someone to her right. You know? That's kind of a smart thing to do. And it, no matter like what, and even if like the squad were like, I don't know, I guess like the fake imaginary squad that Dinkle has in his head, they would still be like leaps and bounds better than Dinkle. Leaps and bounds better for one than Dinkle, true, and leaps and bounds better than a lot of the Congress men and women who give us the most amount of trouble. When passing progressive policy. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That this group of individuals, the squad, campaigned on fighting for a set agenda, and they have not fought for that agenda, and they have abandoned every single opportunity that they could have blocked must-pass bills through, or must-pass votes, like the speakership vote during the Force the Vote saga. They have chosen to pass.
You know what? He did it. All right, he's done it. He outed himself.
This meme is very real.
He sees he sees all this as like a show. Okay, and he's the main character. He thinks that these are all sagas, that they're arcs. All of this is story arcs. What the fuck is wrong with you, weirdo? It's more important than that. That's why he thinks it's probably like it's this like I forgot that. I need expando my chat. It's so like easily to be able to be put in like black and white. Because it's like a TV show. They're a saga.
Democratic agenda instead of actually forcing through their agenda and getting small or large concessions in return.
Okay. So
why didn't you support Force the Vote?
Well, my gosh, these questions. Just he can't stick on a single thing.
About Force the Vote, but let's just stay on the topic that you wanted, and then I'll talk about Force the Vote. The reason why I support the most progressive members of the Democratic Party is because they're the most progressive members of the Democratic Party. Now, if you want to have a conversation that you think people should be voting for a third party instead of Democrats, I'll have that conversation too. But why wouldn't, and unless you do want to have that conversation, why wouldn't I support the most progressive members of the Democratic Party, even if they are subpar to where I want them to be?
I think that you need to hold them accountable, which is, I was a supporter of AOC.
What does that mean?
To her. I bought her little merchandise stuff. And even during Force the Vote, during Force the Vote, I would always say, I hope she proves me wrong. I hope she fights for this agenda that I care about. And she never did. And the squad never did. And they have chosen to vote for the party line every single time and not fight for their agenda.
You feel scorned by them, but you still think they're the most progressive members of Congress, correct?
That's not a high bar. I hold them to what they. No, Sam, listen. Don't interrupt. I was about to answer your question and you interrupted me.
Well, he already. Wait, now he's complaining about interruptions? Oh no! Oh no! I'm not actually not even sure if this man has ears. Honestly, such a fake ass line. He's just weird. That's not a high bar. So you did answer the question. So yes, you do. Good.
To your question and you interrupted me.
Okay.
I hold them to the bar that they ran on while campaigning for Congress. That bar is saying stuff like, I'm going to fight for Medicare for all. We can't wait 100 more years. We need to fight for it right now. Saying stuff like, I don't care if I'm a one-term congressperson. AOC said this. I don't care if I'm a one-term congressperson. I'm going to fight for my agenda or essentially go down trying. That's what I hold them to.
Okay.
Why don't you?
I mean, I have issues with votes that they have taken at times. They are the most progressive members of the Democratic Party. And until there's more progressive, people who are more progressive than them, they're the best we have. I don't get attached to politicians like you seem to have felt like you're scorned by them in some way. And I just don't care. I don't think
AOC, he asked AOC out to the high school, to prom, and she said no. And he's still mad about it. Sorry.
Politicians have principles. I think they go in and they get the best that they can do. Sometimes I think that they make mistakes because they're not smart. Sometimes I think some of them are just completely sold out. I think there's a lot of sellouts in Congress. In fact, Ilhan Omar was on the program last week, and she specifically said there's a lot of people who came in progressive who are corporatists now. And I don't know who exactly she meant. I have some ideas. I suspect Nancy Pelosi was one of them. And so I don't get attached in the way you do. So your notion of my support for them, I didn't donate to AOC. I didn't get as attached to them as you did. I take them. They are politicians. I look for the most progressive politicians who are in a position to either win or to implement policy. And yes, they have largely failed. Joe Biden has failed. The Senate has failed. The Senate leadership has failed. I think Pelosi failed. I think it was a mistake for them to vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill. The Progressive Caucus has failed. In fact, I think that, one of the things that I am hoping, and, to the extent that I can pressure, there's only so much pressure I can bring to bear on politicians. But one of the things I'm hoping that they do is that they actually implement some voting requirements, some litmus tests to be a Progressive Caucus member.
The thing is, it's just so weird. Like, what do you mean hold them accountable? What does that mean? Like, I feel like this is a question that needs to be answered, because wouldn't holding them accountable mean you say when you disagree with them? Doesn't Sam do that? Doesn't he? Isn't that what that means? He means Twitter. You're right. He doesn't tweet enough. That's the real. Yeah, honestly, you're right. That's 100% correct. Dinkle, he can't think outside of his little box anymore. He can't do it. He's like, I don't see Sam tweeting every 2 hours about how AOC bad. So he must be terrible.
I think that's a great idea. But Sam, first of all, you just said a lot there.
So that idea. You know who brought up that idea on this program?
I have brought up you've brought that idea up on this program. I brought it up on my program as well. I know you've said that
up on this program.
You said it during your first Force the Vote video. Actually, you said that maybe it's time that we tell members of the CPC that they should have to support a vote on Medicare for all on the House floor if they want to be a part of it. I think that's a great idea. I just wish you would continue holding them accountable like you did then. Anyways, but you said that I'm too.
How did I hold them accountable then?
Sam, I just let you talk for so long.
How did I hold them accountable then?
You want to go into this,
Jackson? What do you think is going on here?
You held them accountable back then by going out on your program and saying stuff like
honestly,
stuff like
is influencing them.
We could push House progressive members to leverage their votes. It is worth it right now. Tweeting at some of the top progressives, people who are supportive.
You're right. You're right. Who said that? Wait, who was it? Kane in chat. You're right. There it is. You're right. Proven right once again. They're right. It's Twitter. It's Twitter. He's like, I don't see you tweeting. I don't see you tweeting. Oh no. Oh my gosh. You don't send enough tweets. Oh my goodness. Well, Sam, you must support all these bad things the squad does. I haven't seen a single Ilhan Omar stinky be tweeted in the last 3 weeks. Nice.
By the Justice Democrats in the squad. The more of a stink we make, the easier it is for progressives to leverage it, because they can simply say, look, I have my own pressures. So I think it's a good idea to do this, to force this vote.
That is also true. Sam doesn't need to tweet at them because he can literally speak to them. Yeah. Wild.
Yeah.
So why did you not say that or make a stink about this during the vote on the adoption of House rules or the congressional budget or the American Rescue Plan Act or the For the People Act or increasing the Capitol Police and Security budget or the 12% increase in the State Department? No, I'm not done. 12% increase in the State Department and U.S. aid funding that they all voted for. The Legislative Appropriations Act, combating international Islamophobia Act, all of these things, the Infrastructure Act, increasing government funding, all of these things. Sam, I'm done, but let me just finish. I let you talk for so long and I don't interrupt you.
I'm done, but Sam, I'm done, but let me finish. What a guy. What a fucking guy. 12% budget increase. Was about, my bad. I was talking about, was largely foreign aid. Yeah, a lot of that was like a lot of foreign aid to a lot of countries who needed it. But you know, okay. It's not like that matters. That doesn't matter. Yeah, also it's Sam's show. So he can kind of just like push you around. It is his show. You know, you did ask to be on his show, not the opposite, not the other way around. This isn't even a debate. Yeah, it's not even a debate. It's just like it's just like Dinkle is asking him a couple of like 7 questions in a row, and then Sam tries to stick on one, and then he like, that's not what I'm here to debate. Well, why'd you fucking pull it up? Stop talking. Stop talking about shit you didn't want to talk about. What's wrong with you? It's so weird. He's just stupid.
I just expect a little bit of respect in return.
Why don't you agree with me?
All of these things were passed by a margin of roughly 6 to 10 votes in the House. These are all things that the progressives could have banded together, or in some cases banded together to stop and get concessions in return. Sam, please stop interrupting me.
No.
Stop interrupting me.
Jackson, you listed off a bunch of votes that you presume I'm against.
No.
I have a problem with the State Department getting more funding.
No, you don't have a problem with that?
With the State Department getting funding? No.
A 12% increase.
I mean, a 12% increase, 11% increase, 13% increase.
You don't have a problem with the State Department, who is, leading coups across this world, who is launching hybrid warfare through the National Endowment for Democracy in countries all across this world, like Venezuela, like you just mentioned, that you said you had a problem with warmongering and sanctions on Venezuela. You don't have a problem with a 12% increase to the State Department when they could be getting concessions for progressive policies in return?
What?
Wait. How does he think Congress works?
Concession.
Any concession. Do you know how closely that State Department vote passed? Do you even know the vote?
No.
It was 217 to 212. AOC,
Cool.
Tlaib, and Bush voted no. Presley, Omar, Bowman, Jayapal, Khanna, Lee, and Porter voted yes. So had 3 more progressives who voted yes, voted no. They would have been able to defeat the measure temporarily.
Wait, why are you calling them all the squad? Wait. It seems like they're not it seems like they're not connected in everything. And wait, how do you know they didn't get concessions? What do you? It depends on like what you mean, because they got some committee seats that before that they weren't going to be put on with some other stuff. I don't know. It's like he just doesn't care. If it's not like the like big policy issues that them as a single House member cannot pass by themselves, he just doesn't care about anything else that's getting done. It's so weird.
Temporarily, or forever, because I don't support an increase in the State Department, unlike you. Okay. And they could have blocked it temporarily and gotten concessions in return.
Increased on the State Department.
Like what? What? Also, he's like, concessions. They could get what? What concession? What would they be looking for? What is it? What could they have tied to this vote to pass? What is it? Tell me. I would like to know.
Budget.
So why don't you think it was a good idea to at least temporarily delay the passage of that to get concessions?
What I had more of an issue with was the...
No, wait, I want to hear you answer that.
Authorization. I don't care, Jackson. I don't care. I do not share your concern about the 12% increase in the State Department budget. I'm far more...
I'm not asking you to care about that. I'm asking you to care about the fact that they could have delayed that. They chose not to. And by choosing not to, they abandoned an opportunity to get a progressive concession in return. Why didn't you...
concession are you talking about?
Any progressive concession. You've listed things like getting better committee assignments.
Wait. So you think they're going to get a better committee assignment if they hold up the vote on a State Department budget?
That's what you've said in the past regarding the speakership vote. I think there's other progressive concessions they could have gotten in return. I think, they could have gotten votes on given policies. I think they could have gotten Biden's agenda potentially.
One to me.
Wait. Why does he? Wait. Stop. He said earlier in this debate, it doesn't matter if something doesn't pass. What if you do get a vote? Okay, he still wouldn't care. He still would be upset. What are you talking about? The vote wouldn't pass. All they can do is pass stuff in their chamber. Even if it did pass, it wouldn't pass the Senate. And then he would be like, oh, who cares? Oh, they're not doing anything. What, a concession, like get a vote on something? Why? I still don't get this. I still don't know why this matters. I really don't. I really don't like why this, we need to vote on this. It just doesn't matter that much. Would it be cool? Sure. We don't need it. I'm pretty sure like 90% of the Congress people that you know have either a publicly stated opinion, or if you ask them, will probably give you a publicly stated opinion on whether or not they support Medicare for all. It's a pretty big policy talking point right now. It's so weird.
What about Sam? Listen. What about a $15 minimum wage for all Americans? That's not even a progressive agenda item. That's something Biden ran on.
They tried.
Yes.
Not get through the Senate, Jackson.
But don't you think it would be important to at the least get a vote on that in the House?
Congressional Progressive Caucus secures inclusion of $15 minimum wage in pandemic relief package. Congressional Progressive Caucus Chair Pramila Jayapal released the following statement after working with Education and Labor Chairman Bobby Scott and Speaker Nancy Pelosi to secure the inclusion of $15 minimum wage in the House of Representatives Pandemic Relief Reconciliation Package. And this was voted on, and this got passed in the House. It got removed because the Senate didn't pass it, but it did get added. That they did a lot of work. That was pretty cool, actually. Yeah. Wild how that works.
I mean, I suppose. I think everybody has said they're for it. It's not going anywhere.
So why don't you support the squad delaying these bills, all the ones I just listed that passed by a small margin of votes, smaller than the squad themselves?
Things are not terribly relevant in the final analysis. I mean, what are the problems with, let's say, force the vote? And you want to talk about that, and you've quoted me from a video in which I initially talked about force the vote. Do we have that video? Play that video. Play a clip of that video. And I'm gonna tell you like what exactly what happened with force.
You need to look at the video to remember what you said.
It was a year ago, Jackson.
I guess your opinions have shifted a lot since then.
You don't remember what you said in the video verbatim 1 year ago? Your opinions do shift a lot, you shifty salamander Sam Seder boy. Okay.
Well, I've also done 300 shows since then. All right, here's the video. My only caveat about this is that I don't know how well it's going to do in a vote. I think it's going to get the majority of Democrats, I would imagine, if it was to take the vote taken. But it's also like, is that the best ask? Mm-hmm. Is it better ask? We want more progressives on this committee, or we want more progressives on that committee. But for the time being, and I need to read more into it. But I think the idea is that it is worth, right now, I think, this is one of those few places like where Twitter actually means something. All right. So now, Jackson, let me tell you what happened after that.
Can you hear me? My camera froze for some reason. You can hear me though?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So let me tell you what nice happened at that point. I was talking to some people, and nobody in a congressional thing, but activists on this, and people who were involved in Medicare for All were like, it's going to be bad. We're going to lose 300 plus to 100. It's going to be bad for Medicare for All. And I was like, well.
He looks so empty. He is empty. There's nothing in his head besides like the need to try and get more clout. That's literally it. At this point, it's quite clear that the campaign for force the vote had changing your mind is legal.
Off, and at that point, did we just lose him?
No, I'm still here. My camera just went out. I don't know what happened.
Is that on your end? Because I could actually see me in your camera.
Yeah, no, it must be his.
It's on my end.
Anyways, all right. So
nice.
And at that point, I realized, like, okay, well, I'm not going to stay in the way of this thing because let 1,000 flowers bloom was my feeling. It was a dumb ask to have a vote. I'm now watching myself 4 times.
What's happening?
Ask, in my opinion, to have a vote for something that was going to lose. And I think that we definitely saw the failure. Even if it had won, I think it would, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere in the Senate. But for it to lose so badly would have been a dumb thing to do. And then all of a sudden it became this sort of litmus test. If the squad is not using this to do a dumb performative act, then they're sellouts. And that was the only time that I actually even started to speak out against the force of the vote. I'm not even sure if I did, maybe we talked about it once at that point. And the next time I talked about it was on a show I was invited on, which at the time I was invited on was called, what was it, like putting force the vote to bed, I think it was. By the time I ended that show, it had been a debate, but that was weeks after it had failed. So the reason why I didn't hold them to getting committee positions with that vote at that point was because the whole thing had taken off as Medicare for All and it become, someone's sort of pet project to make it about some type of litmus test for the squad to push for Medicare for all, which I thought was a really bad idea.
All right. Well, you know
he
what's,
still can't get
about
it
that putting
working.
force the vote to bed debate. I don't know if you still believe this, but one of the reasons you put forward for not supporting force the vote was you said, let's say Nancy Pelosi says, fine, don't vote for me. The Dems lose the speakership because you're not going to get that 218 people to coalesce around another person. You're going to end up getting McCarthy. Do you still believe the lie that Kevin McCarthy would become Speaker of the House if we tried to force the vote?
I have no idea what would have happened, to be totally honest with you, because there was no other candidate to run for Speaker of the House.
But you do understand it would have taken Democrats voting for Kevin McCarthy or a large number of people abstaining from voting altogether rather than voting for someone else to end up with Kevin McCarthy as Speaker?
Well, I don't know. Let's say they held out. What happens on day 2 or 3?
You keep taking more rounds of voting.
Do people abstain?
No, you keep taking more rounds.
How do you know? How do you know Josh Gottheimer doesn't abstain? How do you know Henry Cuellar?
There's historical precedent for this.
Well, you know, there's historical precedent for what? Henry Cuellar?
For a House speakership vote that went 12 rounds.
Yeah, well, how do you know that Josh Gottheimer is not going to abstain? How do you know that Henry Cuellar is not going to abstain?
Because that would mean a Democrat is voting for a Republican. That's not going to happen.
What?
Have you seen Henry Cuellar's voting record?
I have, and I've seen AOC's, which falls pretty much all in line with Nancy Pelosi's too.
Right, well, Henry Cuellar's doesn't.
The fact of the matter is they were not going to vote for a Republican. The Democratic establishment would not allow that to happen. And the fact that you're thinking, the fact that you're thinking that there's some sort of practicality in this argument that Henry Cuellar or Gottheimer would have voted for Kevin McCarthy as Speaker is actually insane. Like that's
Cinema
actually insane.
Mansion.
Okay.
Wild.
So if you understand, though, the principle behind force the vote, and maybe you have problems with the Medicare.
I have a problem with the ask.
Jesus Christ, Sam, let me finish before you interrupt me.
Leverage.
I know my camera's not on, it broke, but like, let me at least finish what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you understand that force the vote is a strategy that could be carried out, and you've said this in the past, you just think maybe Medicare for all wasn't the best ask, or the speakership vote was too risky because you don't understand how a speakership vote works, then why didn't you support forcing the...
No, if Dinkle made it to Congress, he would spend his time tweeting
vote on any of the other policies I listed or criticize the squad for not forcing the vote on those policies.
Okay, let's not use the word force the vote because
what do you want to call it?
Why didn't they use their leverage?
I know that phrase is triggering to you. So why didn't they use their leverage?
Why didn't they use their leverage? Now, how do you know that they didn't?
Because they voted for these bills without getting concessions in return.
How do you know?
Because there are no substantive large material changes that we have seen.
Just so you know, they did get some concessions during the House Speaker vote. It was in the rules. It was in the House rules. One thing that they were going to add would be like a deficit offsetting like scheme, basically, where they had to raise new taxes for the exact amount of money, to raise the exact amount of money that they would spend in a bill that they passed. And that was changed during the negotiation for the speakership. That's the reason why we got things like the reconciliation bill. That's the reason why we got things like the Build Back Better Act being passed through the House. That's a good thing. We did. But the thing is, like, he doesn't care.
There's nothing that the squad is.
No, wait a second. You just made a statement.
You just asked me a question.
Jackson.
Let me finish.
No, I heard you answered it. You said there's no.
You just asked me a question. You want me to finish answering or not?
Do you know what's in the Build Back Better bill? Do you know what's in the Build Back Better bill?
The one that didn't pass?
Yeah, no, the one that did pass. It passed in the House.
Was it signed into law? I must have missed that.
But Jackson, we're talking about House members, yes?
Well, what is the point of...
Are we talking about House members or are we talking about people in the Senate?
What is the point?
Are we talking about Joe Manchin or are we talking about AOC? You said that Joe Manchin is worse than AOC, that AOC is more progressive. They're different people. They're two different houses. You understand how that works?
You want to hear the incredible thing, Sam? I understand that there are two separate chambers in Congress, Sam. You want to hear the incredible thing?
Hold on for 1 second, Jackson.
You talk over. You never let me answer the initial question you asked. Let me say this.
Let me play
this. Interesting thing here.
Hold on 1 second, Jackson. Give me 1 second. Will you play the end of this, the Ilhan Omar thing?
Get him.
Because I thought this was sort of interesting. Because I think it's possible Jackson doesn't quite understand certain dynamics. Bradley, do you have that? Play this last.
Oh my gosh, he's still working on his camera.
Because I tuned into this, or I got to be fair. Somebody sent this to me, and I was curious because Jackson had done a video on our interview with Ilhan Omar and said it was shocking, and I was like, was it? Did we do something that was shocking in the interview? But play the end of this, and this is what I think it was. The fight's a little bit ways away, so we can hopefully catch.
No. The leadership fight's not going to happen, dude. What are you saying? You honestly believe? Ilhan Omar's like, this motherfucker thinks that we're going to hold the House. Oh, my God. Okay. Yeah, sure. You ask me those leadership position questions when the time comes around. Okay. All right. We'll see you later. Okay. That was incredible.
Okay. So, Jackson, you understand there is going to be a leadership fight regardless of whether the Democrats hold the House. That there is a leadership fight if they are in the majority, then it's for the speakership. And if they're in the minority, then it's just for the leadership. In other words, Kevin McCarthy is the leader of the Republicans in the minority. You understand how this works, right?
So first of all, I do want to address the fact that you just completely changed the subject when you were getting pressed. But yes,
no, I didn't change the subject. You don't think you expect 6 members of the squad to change the votes in the Senate, and it doesn't work that way.
When did I ever say that, Sam?
Well, because I said
he did. Whoa, he's so freaking dumb. He's so dumb. You're right. He's like incredibly condescending. My good, I would just hang up on a person like this. I'm sorry. Like you can't talk to someone like this.
Said,
you
what
just
concessions
can't.
did they get? And I said they passed the Build Back Better bill, which you didn't seem to understand in the House, and they did pass it in the House. And then you said, "But it wasn't signed into legislation." And I said that's because it got stopped in the Senate.
Okay,
and 6 members of the House cannot control.
I'm trying to be really, really respectful right now, but you continue to talk over me and interrupt me.
Do whatever
Let
you
me
want.
go. Let me go. So when you talk about speakership votes, that implies that there's going to be a Democratic majority.
I spoke about leadership votes.
Second of all,
leadership votes.
Second of all,
play it again. He didn't hear it.
Second of all,
play it again. Hold on,
I'm going to mute you if you play it again. I'm trying to talk about.
It's my show, ding dong. Play it again.
I'm going to go on and say what I'm going to say about what I've been trying to get out for 5 minutes now. But you can
do it again. But you just misspoke. You said I said speakership and I said leadership. So let's play it again.
Think that even if the end of that conversation, the end of the conversation was about leadership, and it was. Do you think
it's not going to happen, dude? What are you saying? You honestly believe? Ilhan Omar's like, this motherfucker thinks that we're gonna hold the House. Oh my God. Okay.
I didn't say
okay, yeah, sure. You asked me those leadership position questions when the time comes around. Okay. All right.
Okay. So Jackson, continue.
You have to unmute yourself, Jackson.
Is he still muted?
Baby.
Complex setup. He's got to go down there.
He's got a pretty crazy setup going on. All I do is see myself twice.
It's just what he hasn't gotten his camera to work. Did he just leave? What's happening?
Did he go away?
All right.
All right, well, Jackson, if you want to come back, you can come back. If not, we can say goodbye. Or we can keep him on if we want.
I'll just keep him in this side.
Yeah, just continue with the show.
Oh, am I still on his screen? Still on his screen?
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Wait, let's see.
This is a letter ago. Santa is real. The Tooth Fairy leaves money under your pillow. The United States military is fighting wars to defend our country. And then his dad responded, this is the only way that I knew him before this whole thing. I'm Santa. You never complained when you got the gifts. Yes, we were such assholes sneaking you money under your pillow. Never once did your mother and I tell you the military is fighting wars to defend our country. That's a bold-faced lie on your part. Did Jackson leave? Yes. He's gone.
Imagine getting bodied by your dad. Is he okay? Wait, he just left? He's just dragging him. He brings up how he got dragged by his dad on Twitter and he's like, I gotta get out of here. Oh no.
All right.
Wait, did he get ratioed?
Did George defend our country? That's a bold-faced lie on your part. Did Jackson leave? Yes. He's gone. All right.
Child.
We were such a is fighting like says truthfully. He says lies my parents told me when I was is real or to defend the only way that I knew him. Yes.
Okay.
I just want to know. Asshole, sneak country. As a parent, I want to know if there's actually tension between them or if that was funny, because I feel like I would do that to my kids at one point. But all right, let's take a break and we'll come back and wrap up the show, and maybe Emma's just come back in so we can do the show. I don't think he wants to come back.
No, I think that. Well, I mean, I think we'll put it down to the technical confusion that he had going on there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Dinkle's camera had a single slip up, and he hurt himself in confusion. He was ratioed many times over. Oh, poor baby. That was his Joker moment. Getting ratioed by his dad on this. Oh no, he never recovered. Oh, also, I just thought I want to get some sushi tomorrow. Oh my gosh, can you imagine getting some sushi? Oh my goodness, eating sushi tomorrow would be so good.
Mute. But yeah, I think we got all the points covered.
I think so.
We didn't get to the squad is the spear point of fascism in the United States, but maybe I can.
Do you want to give him that opportunity to say that?
Honestly,
let's play that.
Yeah. Well, which part? Do we have the squad is the fascism? Yeah.
No, he didn't say that. No way. He said the squad is the spear point of fascism.
They're better than Manchin, but they're also the vanguard of fascism in this country. See, this is the thing that I think was like a little bit disingenuous.
I feel like there's a little bit of Mott and Bailey, if you want to look that up, debating term, where you take a stronger position in one time than a more defensible position when you're being called on it. But here's a little bit on the squad.
Are Democrats the new fascists with their COVID concentration camps? I think that, as I've said before, and I literally got, it went semi-viral on Twitter when I said it, but I stand by it 100%. I said that fascism in the United States will come from progressive, like woke circles, like the squad, for example. I truly believe this is just further proof of that. You know, this is just further proof of that. So, yeah, I think,
absolute dumbest motherfucker on the planet. Dumbest COVID concentration camps. Dumbest motherfucker on the planet. Oh my goodness. What a waste of space.
Just that they didn't leverage their vote to get progressive concessions when there was a 12% increase in the State Department budget. It's that they're the vanguard of fascism in this country.
I mean, my concern is that what if we did force the vote and then all those squad members did vote for Medicare for All and then we supported them and then they did fascism on us?
That would have been the real...
they would have us right where we wanted us.
No, it's just because MLs are stupid. MLs are stupid people. MLs are not serious. They're not real. They're not stupid. They're not smart. They're stupid. They're not real political actors. They don't care about politics. What they care about is posturing. They're actually they remind me a lot like Trump supporters. Honestly, what they care about a lot is posturing, and what they care about a lot is aesthetic. Those two things, posturing and aesthetic, is what drives them. So they love people who haven't gotten anything done, like Jimmy Dore, because he's postures and he has the right aesthetic. But they hate people like Bernie Sanders and the squad because even though they don't posture and they don't have the right aesthetics, they have gotten things done. It's not as many, but they've gotten a lot more done than anyone like him or Dore or Haas or anybody else surrounding him have ever done, and honestly will ever do. They have changed the course of history in the amount of in what they have done. They help spark a progressive movement in this country. That once again, there are so many socialist and progressive candidates around the country who are on city board meetings, who are on like school boards, who are on city boards, on school boards, and municipal governments doing like a lot of work, doing the Lord's work across the country. But he doesn't care because what he really cares about is the look, is the aesthetic. You feel like you're doing something, and that's why they circle around all these people who have done literally nothing with their time. And they demonize people who have, because the people who have spend their time actually doing things and not posturing. Will you see the same thing play out on Twitter? Clicks online? Yeah, it's pretty stupid. I can't get a haircut, those damn Democratic fascists.
But they're getting all these... Here's the amazing thing. On one hand, they're getting this preferential treatment where they're allowed to negotiate with Biden, but on the other hand, they're not leveraging their votes.
Yeah.
Now, presumably, they would leverage their votes to get negotiations with Biden.
Yeah, well, they get the opportunity to be ignored by Joe Biden.
But I don't understand how you're supposed to leverage to get something, and that's different than getting preferential treatment from them.
He's everywhere.
He's coming back.
Oh, he wants to come back?
Sorry, back.
I made a,
I'm back. If he wants to rejoin, I don't want to.
And then I never.
Oh, here he is.
But in the one example he gave, AOC voted the right way.
I'll jump off so you guys can be mano a mano.
Bro, like.
Man to man.
First of all, my camera's not working. Second of all,
still,
your host muted me. I don't know who that was, but your host muted me.
Talking over the clip, it was me.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then I never unmuted my thing. I never touched any of my stuff on my end. And then you guys claimed that I muted myself. You guys muted me and tried to get me off the stream.
Matt just said it. No, you're back.
I just said I muted you because you're talking over.
We do that fairly.
Why didn't you unmute me when it was over? And then you claimed that I muted myself. And I was
Jackson, you're talking to me. Let me just clarify. I asked you to unmute yourself. You'll notice in the chat I said, "Are you able to unmute yourself?" And you left. But now that everything's sorted out again, except your camera.
Welcome back.
If you muted me, why didn't you just unmute me?
I tried to. Jackson, Zoom. Let me explain. Let me just explain for everybody because I don't want this to be the thing that they hang out on.
Oh my gosh, he's so mad with a child.
So I asked you to unmute yourself. You had to affirmatively unmute yourself. You didn't do that.
But now you just say that.
That's what I said actually right before you got on there. So
you said it on a chat, but you didn't. I'm not reading the chat. I mean, I didn't even know there was a chat in here. But all right, let's keep talking. So.
Well, you may have sent it to me. You may have said it, but I didn't read it. So stop. On Zoom, is it like if you get muted in a Zoom call, like a server like call mute, they can unmute you, but you're still muted on your end. You have to click the unmute button to unmute on your end. Is that true? Is that right? Yeah, muting Stunlock. I've never used Zoom before. You need to unmute yourself? Nice.
So my question, Sam, was if you understand the idea behind forcing a vote on these sorts of policies, and the squad ran on a set agenda saying they were going to fight for that agenda, and then every time they have the opportunity to force a vote on any number of these bills, they choose not to, and they have no material gains, no material concessions that they can show for these potentially hypothetical secret concessions that you claim they're getting, potentially, then why aren't you criticizing them like we all are?
Okay, I don't know who we all are in this instance, but
Jimmy
Jackson,
Dore.
you started this off by saying that they were getting preferential treatment by the Democrats, and one of those was their ability to go in and negotiate with Biden. Now, how is that preferential treatment different from exercising their leverage to get in and negotiate as to what the outcomes of bills will be?
Very, very easy answer to that. If you're looking at it from a practical sense as to what is practical, pragmatic politics, the idea of going in on a joint task force with Biden does not result in material changes. In addition to that, those joint task forces, with the exception of, say, the climate change one, they weren't negotiating based on their agenda and items that they could potentially get concessions on. They were negotiating in favor of Biden's agenda between.
Oh, he's just stupid. Oh, he's just stupid. Negotiating doesn't mean, getting concessions to negotiate doesn't mean anything. He's just stupid. I'm telling you, like when I say that these types of people are just stupid, I'm not being like hyperbolic. This isn't cute. This isn't a meme. He's just a stupid person. He's not smart. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Between the more progressive aspects of his agenda and the more conservative aspects of his agenda. And I think that they need to be forcing votes on their agenda, concessions for their agenda.
What does that mean?
What are you talking about? What does that mean, forcing votes?
Well, I would ask you, because in your initial video and in the debate you had with Brianna Joy Gray, you said that, yes, I think forcing a vote is a fundamentally good principle.
Getting leverage for certain things is a good principle. But I don't know what you mean forcing a vote. You can have a vote. Listen, there's a bill that has been introduced by Jayapal, right? A Medicare for All bill.
It was introduced after they had already voted for the subsidization of COBRA premiums for 6 months, which is something you said you vehemently disagreed with.
I did disagree with it. Yes. I railed on it quite a bit, actually.
You know, they actually delayed the introduction of Medicare for All so they could initially first pass the COBRA premium subsidies in that COVID bill.
Yes. Nancy Pelosi is a very outspoken critic of Medicare for All. I'm aware of that. That's why I've criticized Nancy Pelosi for that as well.
So if you think that maybe Medicare for All is not the best ask.
Jayapal, do I think that putting a vote for Medicare for All on the floor is not the best ask? Correct.
Okay, so why don't they instead, focus on, if you think maybe these domestic policies are not their strong suit in forcing their agenda through like Medicare for All, why don't they focus?
Does Sam hit him on this? I'm not sure. He keeps saying every time they actually get something done, he says that that's not real and substantive. How is a vote real and substantive? A vote that doesn't go anywhere, real and substantive. You get a vote on Medicare for All. You lose by 300 votes, and he's like, "Yeah, they did it. They finally did it." The thing is, it's not. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. If they actually did what he would do, he would move on to the next thing that they didn't fight hard enough to actually get it passed. That's what his next goal would be. Flower Guy, thank you so much for the subscription. Shyla, I'm not sure if I shouted you out, but thank you for the Bezos bucks in the Prime. I appreciate you. And Nerd Cuddles with the 2 cheers. Thank you.
Focus on foreign policy issues.
No, Jackson. You're talking jibber jabber here.
Everything I do is performative.
Is that jibber jabber to you?
If you force the vote for Medicare for All, let's say, it will lose. And not only will it not win, which you don't seem to think winning in the House is even meaningful, right? Because the Build Back Better is not going to become a bill because it's stopping the Senate. We're losing a vote in the House.
You actually said on your show, and let me bring this up because this is your quote again. You said that you think that it's important to set markers even if votes fail. So when they can control, both houses and the White House, potentially with progressive politicians, they will have the record of who in the Democratic caucus votes for it.
Yeah, well, the value we have of Medicare for All is that we know, at the very least, there's 100 Democrats who won't even co-sponsor the bill, right?
You said that you thought it was a good idea.
In the Senate, they voted to expand Social Security payments. I don't know, 5 years ago.
I like how he pivoted away from answering that question,
which I think was very helpful, even though it couldn't pass, because it holds and binds those people. So yes, I mean, I do think there's some value, but it's nominal. I wouldn't exercise, the type of leverage you're talking about to get a vote, particularly on a bill where it's going to lose 300 to 100 or whatever, 310 to 110.
Well, it's not even about that. It's about getting concessions that might not be necessarily policies. Like, for example, you brought up this idea of getting committee assignments multiple times. So why are they not working to get better committee assignments for, say, the next congressional cycle?
I hope they are.
Well, don't you think it's a bit of an issue?
In fact, I would argue that maybe AOC sending money to moderate and even conservative Democrats was part of that.
Wow. No, well, can you imagine not thinking about politics with a one-track mind? And actually understanding how this works and why the politicians may do what they do? He unironically thought that AOC was giving money to these Democrats because she thought it would be fun, like funny. It was a funny meme. She's like, oh, what if I just gave like these Dems some money? Ah!
So you think that instead of leveraging their power, they should just be giving them money?
Power, dude? There's 6 votes.
What power?
Yeah.
I just listed multiple votes that pass in the House with very slim margins, such as the Capitol Police and security funding.
If they sink those bills, what do you think they get?
If they sink those bills, they could get the concessions you were just referring to, and you said that you think maybe they got by giving money to DCCC Democrats.
That also, it does. They could just say no. Have you ever thought about them like just saying no? Have you thought about that yet? Oh, damn, I didn't think I would. Damn, I didn't think this far. Haha, we've done it. We've sunk a massive bill that the American people are for. Our approval ratings have dropped by 20 points. It's time to get a vote for Medicare for all. Nancy Pelosi. No. What? No. Well, they could just say no. You forgot about that. They could just say no. Honestly, this happens a lot when it comes to like government shutdowns. You shut down the government and then it's like a stalemate. And then they're both sitting there staring at each other until one side gives, and typically it's the side that has the worst approval rating. And then their approval ratings, honestly, on issues, especially the reconciliation bill, would drop instantly. With those checks being around, they would drop instantly. No, it's not Mansion Cinema. It's the Squad. Yeah, he's dumb as fuck. He's a dumb boy. They're all stupid. It's just, why do you have to be dumb? Is it really that hard to choose to be correct?
That's what you just said.
It doesn't work that way, Jackson.
So you have to pay $5,000 to 32 different DCCC candidates to get anything done?
It's $5,000.
It greases the wheels, yeah.
It greases the wheels. So what if I told you instead of playing softball politics and greasing the wheels, which is all don't interrupt me. You've interrupted me so many times, Sam. You've interrupted me so many times throughout this entire debate.
Listen, I don't care.
You've interrupted me.
Stop interrupting me, Sam. Stop trying to ask me. Stop trying to ask me words on my stop trying to ask me definition on my buzzwords. No, they're my buzzwords.
So many times. I've let you talk. Now let me talk. What if I told you instead of greasing
things that don't mean anything? Softball politics. What does that mean?
It means
softball politics.
Okay, let me be specific. Softball politics is giving $160,000 to DCCC Democrats when she said she was not going to do it. Please don't interrupt me. Hardball politics would be, say, blocking the State Department and USAID 12% funding increase, or blocking the Capitol Police and Security funding increase.
And what happens after you vote no on that?
You vote no on it, and you block the bill from passing. And because these are things that the Democratic establishment really wants passed, you get concessions to vote for those policies. That's hardball politics.
What are you talking about? What vote for what policies?
Votes for, no, I said getting concessions. And when I say voting for policies,
retaliate against her?
No, I'm saying getting concessions to vote for the policies that they voted for without any concessions, like the increase in Capitol Police and security.
Just so you know, also, if you haven't been like super convinced, the establishment Dems have way more power than the House Dems. Than the progressive. Like, what if that happens and then they just say that they're never allowed to have a committee seat ever? Because that's something that could happen. They could like leverage the entire caucus to be like, you're not voting for them to be on a committee assignment, and you'll just never be on one again. Which is honestly one of the biggest ways to be able to actually affect policy. But okay. Like, you forgot about the whole part where they can just like retaliate. They can say no. They can punish you.
Security funding.
What would you do? What would you change in that Capitol Police funding that you think that they should have changed in that bill?
Well, I don't think that we should have given an increase to Capitol Police and security funding. But Sam, here's the part you're missing. It's not about necessarily what they could change in that bill. It's about blocking that bill until they get a concession for something that substantively benefits the agenda they are fighting for.
What is this something that you're talking about?
What is it?
Numerous examples on your show because you said Medicare for all is not a good ask. So what if we did this, that, or the other? There's a whole host of things.
What is this, that, or the other?
I'm not a member of Congress.
But I don't understand.
I'm not a member of Congress.
You know how it works, Jackson. But you can't even articulate one thing that they're supposed to be asking for.
$15 minimum wage. Okay. Better committee assignments.
Hold up a bill on funding the Capitol Police to get $15 minimum wage. And then once again, even if it does pass the House, it won't pass the Senate, and then he'll say nothing happened.
I'm not going to vote.
Committee assignments.
Okay, but the committee assignments come out at the beginning of the year, and we'll find out about that.
Don't you think that they would say when they're receiving all the criticism in the next to increase the Capitol Police and security because we got this in return?
Voting against. You want my vote. You want my vote, Nancy Pelosi, for the State Department increase by 12%, and I'm going to withhold that vote unless we have a vote on Medicare for all, and the 100 people who are against it vote for it.
And you said that was a good idea at the time.
No, Jackson, I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
Do you still not believe it's a good idea? Because at the time you said it was a good idea.
I very quickly said it wasn't a good idea.
So
very quickly after that video.
So you said that it was a good idea. You said then very quickly I'd change.
Sir, can you please debate Hinkle? No, Dinkle does not deserve a debate. He doesn't. He's too stupid. He doesn't care. And what he wants is my platform. He doesn't want to talk to me. He does this with every single person. Like, we remember the clip. Everything I do is for the clout. I don't do anything else but except for the clout. Like, sure, it'd be funny, but honestly, I think I'd rather have another funny segment to upload instead than talking to him, because it would just be annoying. He'd just be annoying. I wouldn't want to speak to him. And since I have a much bigger platform than him, at least double his size. I don't want him to be on my platform. I don't want him to I don't want him to waste my time. I don't. I would rather do literally anything else. Literally anything else. He can eat shit and die. We're not speaking. Same with should be the same thing should be with just about every other streamer. All he wants is just more clicks and more views. Just don't give it to him. Yeah, the Dylan debate was classic. Honestly, if I'm gonna be completely honest with you, if I did, I would just make fun of him the entire time. I would barely even try to debate. I would just clown on him the entire time. I'd make fun of the way he looks. I'd make fun of the way he talks. I just make fun. I would just make fun of him until he leaves the call. That'd basically be it. That's all. That's literally all this man deserves.
I changed my mind and I thought it was a bad idea. Now you cited your reasoning for this because
why'd you take money from Assad?
Said you thought it was a part of a Jimmy Dore effort to hate on the squad. That's what you said. I've seen it multiple times. But the question is, you still support the fundamental strategy of forcing the vote, right?
What are you talking about?
What does that mean?
No, I do not sell. The idea of forcing a vote on something is stupid.
Yeah, the problem was with force of vote. Made all of us vote.
Shut up. I'm debating Sam. So you don't think
he's so mad? You shut up. Stop.
Progressives, you don't think that progressives?
I want you to apologize.
You don't think progressives should leverage their power?
To say that. I think progressives should leverage their power. Yes.
Okay, so that's called forcing the vote.
No, it's not.
You just said 1 minute ago that I don't want to use the phrase force the vote. I want to use the phrase leverage their power.
You guys made that.
How are those different?
Oh my god.
Because it's what you use your leverage for, Jackson. Okay. Look, I don't want to get into it.
It's how you exert that leverage, Sam.
What?
So the substance doesn't matter?
I don't know.
The substance of what strategy you employ to leverage your power. That's what matters. You think that instead of leveraging their power, they should donate $160,000 to DCCC Democrats.
Okay.
I'm so confused.
Contributing money to people gets them to vote your way. I think there are different things that you can do to build a coalition, to pass legislation, to materially benefit people.
And what happens when you have that coalition? What happens when you have that coalition?
I don't know if you would have gotten those corporatists who wanted the SALT reductions and et cetera, to vote for Build Back Better or to sign off on a provision to, let's say, have expanded childcare or whatever it is, had they not built those bridges. Maybe not. We don't know for sure. We're not privy to those conversations. You can say, I don't think it's a good strategy to, and I can tell you this, the reason why Steny Hoyer is the whip of the caucus, of the Democratic caucus, is because Steny Hoyer gets all this corporate money that he doles out. He doesn't have to do much fundraising for himself.
We're not talking about
around the country. Who goes around the country and he builds support for things by donating money to different congressional candidates. And so is there value for the #1 fundraiser, who happens to be a progressive, to wield that same type of power?
He's so against learning. He's starting to finally learn, and he's trying to stop Sam because it hurts. His knowledge is entering his brain and it hurts.
My answer is yes, definitively.
So
I point to you exactly.
That's very interesting.
That power pays off.
Very interesting.
No, I cannot.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I wish Michael was laughing right
debate,
now.
You quite literally said I had a problem.
Everyone heard the debate, Jackson. It'll be on video. You don't have to
keep. I had a problem. You don't want to talk about this. You said I had a problem with AOC donating $160,000 to DCCC Democrats when she said that she wasn't going to. So my question is, you just said a moment ago.
I had that problem, Jackson.
You just said a moment ago. You just said a moment ago that the squad.
Whatever.
You just said a moment ago that
don't stop.
Jackson.
I'm trying to help him.
You just said a moment ago that there is the potential for factions to form in Congress, and those factions can leverage their power. Did you not?
I don't know if I said that, but I agree with that statement.
Okay, so if you think that that is possible, and if the explicit goal of the Justice Democrats was to do just that, and if the reality of this session of Congress is they could have blocked certain votes that were, in my opinion, bad. Maybe in your opinion, I don't know what you think about those votes, but they could have blocked those votes to get concessions in return. They haven't done that. Don't you think that that is a failure of their strategy?
In general, no. I think that if they got no, because you're not giving me a specific instance, and I don't. There are votes that they may be for or against. I don't know.
So Sam, I actually respect you more. I actually respect you more after this debate than I initially did coming into the debate, because you said on multiple occasions, like when I brought up
Cool.
the sanctions.
He's gearing up.
That matters so much.
When I brought up the sanctions, when I brought up other issues that I had disagreements with them on, with the exception of the State Department and Capitol Police funding, you actually said that those were bad things, that you disagreed with what they did.
Sam has to crack open a beer.
In some cases, but not all, you criticize them. But what you still fail to recognize is that the explicit strategy that the Justice Democrats ran on, which was to create those factions and essentially be a thorn in the side of the Democratic establishment, kind of in a way, which the Tea Party
explicitly that our job.
How many times are you going to interrupt me? You're interrupting me as many times as you said Jimmy Dore during the Breonna Joy Gray debate. I was done. So they were to be a thorn in the side of the Democratic establishment, and they have not done that.
On being a thorn in the side of the Democratic establishment is literally for children.
Or the People's Party. Go win some races.
Like I don't get, like I want material benefits for people. And if that means that they stroke the Democratic establishment or they are thorn in it, I don't care about that. That's for children. That's
It's not for children. It's not
I
for
don't
children
care about the establishment.
It's just aesthetics. All he cares about is aesthetics. That's it. Be a thorn in their side. I will forever be a thorn in your side. I will be a pebble in your boot. I will be an eyelash in your eye. Yes, me. We will destroy you. I'll be a piece of spinach stuck between your teeth. We'll do it. We'll change this country. Nice one. I'll be a pea in your bed sheets. Oh no. Oh, it's so stupid. I'll be the hair. I'll be the pet hair that's stuck to the outside of your dark clothes. We will destroy you.
Daddy, this. Who cares?
By not being a thorn in the side of the establishment, they actually hurt themselves. Because by donating, yes, they did. By donating to the DCCC candidates who were going to be challenged by progressive primary candidates, they have essentially ruled out the odds of those progressive primary candidates challenging the DCCC candidates in this next election cycle.
Candidates?
What?
Which progressive candidates were running against those?
Ava Patsova is the one that comes to mind. Arizona's first district. She was going to run against one of these DCCC candidates. Who
was the candidate that AOC gave to that Ava Petrova was going to run against?
What's that? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Who was the candidate that AOC gave money to that Ava Petrova was going to run against? And what was Petrova's chance of winning?
The candidate that she gave money to was whoever represents the first district. It's Tom O'Halloran. He's a corporate Democrat. Ava Patsova she ran against him in I believe she ran against him in 2020, and then she was going to run against him again. She did very well. She didn't even have I believe she didn't even have Justice Democrats backing at that time. But the question is, why is AOC?
Wait, AOC gave money to a candidate that Justice Democrats are running against?
No, I said that I don't think she was actually endorsed by Justice Democrats in that race, but there was the potential for her to be endorsed by them in the next race. She wrote an article in The Intercept. I suggest you read it. It's really interesting. But Sam, the question is not about the odds or the likelihood. No one thought AOC was going to beat Joe Crowley. She had no backing. She had no odds of winning, and she still won. Now imagine.
What do you mean no odds of winning? What the fuck does that mean? As she had no odds of winning. What? How do you have no odds but you won? How's that work? Don't you have, okay, actually.
If there was that apparatus of AOC and the progressives behind Ava Patsova, who is a convincing candidate, who is respected by many of these progressive institutions, who did write an incredible article in The Intercept about this, don't you think that there are some more Ava Patsovas out there who could have challenged DCCC corporate candidates that AOC donated to before primary even took place?
It's possible.
It's possible. And that's called softball politics or greasing the wheels, as you put it. And that's why I think it's a failed strategy, because they are actually hurting themselves, their broader movement of establishing a larger faction.
Now, do you still think that they are the vanguard of fascism in this country? Because if they are actually to help themselves, their strategy, that would be sort of problematic if you think they're fascists, right?
I'm not talking about helping themselves. I'm talking about fighting for the agenda that they campaigned on and utilizing the strategy that they said that they were going to carry out via the Justice Democrats faction in Congress, which according to that, little discussion we just had about the DCCC donations, they're not doing that. They're choosing to grease the wheel, so to speak.
Well, I think they're probably doing both.
If they were doing both, don't you think that they would have blocked any number of those policies?
No.
It's just, okay, wait. All right. I think this is good. I think we're good here on this. I'll what does the ending look like?
Listen, Jackson.
How many times do you want to change the subject before you finally address that?
You're saying you want them to
you're not holding them accountable
to get stuff that they want, and they got it in the.
You just said that they could do that, though.
I Yes, I agree that there is such a thing as leverage and it can be used, and I'm suggesting they've done it.
I'm suggesting to you that they haven't done it because they haven't withheld their votes. You're saying that the Build Back Better agenda is
They didn't withhold their votes, and then Nancy Pelosi said, I owe you
not
one.
even their agenda.
How do you know they didn't withhold their votes, and Nancy Pelosi didn't go to him and say, I owe you one?
And that's why they're not going harder at him like you suggested up top.
I don't think that they're doing that because if they were doing that, if they were going to be withholding their support, they would do what Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman did before the speakership vote. Do you remember what they did? They went out on a, was it Dana Bash's show or something like that? They went out on some corporate news show.
More performance.
We are not going to guarantee a vote for Nancy Pelosi.
Why are you putting
more performance? More performance. That's it. It's just more. And that's all he wants. He wants a show.
Because it's Bowman. All right.
I'm putting an accent on there. What the hell is this? We are not going to be voting for Nancy Pelosi guaranteed. Use that to her leverage when she makes
Really happy about that.
Maybe we can hear more about the People's Party next.
But to be fair, that was 2 days ago, so that could have changed. That's pretty much a straight
Maybe
line.
once I hear about force the vote, it'll dip.
I mean, I think to a certain extent, like there is.
Did I say?
Wait, did he? Wait, oh, is he still there?
In the Democratic Party? Did I say that?
I don't know.
Are you putting words in my mouth?
Honestly, I stopped listening to you some time ago, to be honest.
Fucking Chad Seder. Yo, I'm leaving that one a like. I love it. What a fucking loser, dude. It's the only thing that he can do is just gesture at more and more and more performance. That's all he wants. He wants a show. He wants a dance. Like after faced with the idea that they could have withheld their vote in a discussion with the party and then they got something behind closed doors. You have no clue. But he's going to pretend like it never happens, not because of any other reason besides he just thinks that it wouldn't, because he doesn't like them, because they didn't go on a late night TV show. Nice one. Okay. Well, that was fun. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely what we in the business call something. Yeah. I thought we were going to be able to get through another debate. Honestly, this one kind of burned me out. I'm not going to lie. Dudes into chess are so hot. Like, damn, what the fuck you going to do with that bishop? Shove it up your ass? I can explain. I can explain. Chat, stop. Yeah, it's Denims. Anything but that. Anything but another Denims tweet. I beg of you. You in the Majority Report or like the two main channels? Hey, I'm glad. You got a lot of interesting stuff from Majority Report. They're really great. They do a lot of really good work. Truly. Dinkle is so stupid. Like, I knew he was dumb, but the more I listen to him, the more dumb he gets. Like, it's hard for me to think that he gets more dumb, but the more I listen, he just gets more dumb. Oh no. Oh no, it's Denims. What a fucking nightmare. Dialectics. We did have a little bit of dialectics. We had a couple of dialectics here. He insists he won that debate and total of all of his subs the tweet that he won. You know when you really win a debate is when you have to please clap. Please clap. Dinkle Luna Oi game collab. The self-appointed decider of who and who is not a real leftist turns out to be a self-admitted social conservative.
Well, I probably align more with like conservative people on those sorts of things. On social issues, that's what most people care most about. I'm just not that passionate. So
nice.
Just so sad. And that Jason Hinkeldick motherfucker is like one of those people who was like a top of the hour Dankies guy, okay? And now he's like running around trying to fucking build a media career for himself by being the stupidest person ever. So I feel like a failure. I feel like I just have failed to turn that person towards like, I don't know, critically thinking about anything.
True. Dinkle has not spent a moment thinking about a single thing. He doesn't spend any time thinking. How sad. Hassan failed that boy. That's true. If this is what is this must be what it feels like when your kid goes to jail. You know? This must be what it feels like. How sad. I think it was a chatter? Really? Oh, they went back like that?
On the back. We going celebrations tonight. We going victories tonight. God, that was good. God, that was good.
This is him on the debate.
I want everyone tweeting about how much he just got wrecked. I want everyone tweeting about how much he just got wrecked.